Um, so let's wrap up this module by looking at a common problem is that, well, the problem is that we see sustainability as a giant problem to be solved. And if you're one person in this course, you must be thinking, oh my gosh, how in the world am I as an individual going to have any power to tackle this big problem? Well, the first thing you might want to do, besides feeling overwhelmed, paralyzed, and demoralized, is you might begin to think about sustainability as an opportunity, that perhaps you can begin to think about the problem as an opportunity either to do good for the world, but also as an opportunity to make money. The only way to do that, though, the only way to have some sort of sanity in this is to begin to take a tiny chunk of the overall opportunity. In other words, identify a very specific piece of where you want to place your activities and begin to identify that, understand it, study it, bring it down eye level with you so that you can begin to attack that somewhat in isolation with thinking about the big problem in context. And now all of a sudden you're an opportunity seeker, you're an entrepreneur, you're an activist, you're beginning to align your activities towards solving that. And eventually you'll begin to find other people that think and act the same way you do, that have a shared vision or value in terms of how we can begin to solve that problem. That's when it gets very exciting. So everybody that's in this course right now actually is a group of people that are thinking about, in this case, we're looking at the built environment, which, by the way, is a tiny chunk of the overall sustainability movement. And that's what I really struggle to get some of my colleagues to understand, is that buildings, interiors, landscapes are a small part of the overall solution or overall active part of solving this opportunity. What's really kind of exciting is that organizations, if they're effectively built, if they're built with structural alignment, and if they're built with an expanded hierarchy of needs, can be very effective in attacking sustainability. And what you'll see is there are groups all over the world beginning to chip away at this major problem slash opportunity called sustainability. And over the last 10 years or so, we've seen amazing progress in moving towards a sustainable future. And I think that the chunks are becoming bigger and the problem of sustainability is becoming smaller, which I think is a great thing. So just as some examples of this, Patagonia is a for-profit company that is all about gear for the hiking and mountain climbing, and look at what they're writing. We are thinking hard about what it means to be a consumer. We make the best product with the least environmental impact and most social value possible. So that's their shared values. Those are their beliefs as a company. Now, not everybody in the company has the same beliefs, and a company itself cannot have beliefs. The company can be made up of individuals, and the more individuals that share the same mission and vision or the same vision are going to be more effective. So we believe businesses can be successful in creating positive change, but not done conventionally. So thinking outside the box. We're environmental activists who fight to protect the places we play in as a B Corp. And all of you remember we covered B Corp in week 2. This is when you really put the money where the mouth is, or put your money where your mouth is, where you begin to prove that in fact your stated values are backed up with activities and behaviors that are aligned along those words. So if I click on this, I wonder if I'll actually go out to the internet very quickly, because I want to remind you of what B Corp is all about. So here it's all about becoming a responsible company. And so there's all of these things that you can do to begin to prove that in fact you are in fact sustainable, which is pretty exciting. I urge you to go back and look at B Corp if you're working in a company and you want to begin to move forward. And so here he says, this is the head of B Corp, of Patagonia. We can use our human ingenuity to steward rather than pillage our remaining inheritance. So he looks at the planet as an inheritance. And again, this is part of a new worldview. This is part of a change in thinking collectively, or a change in thinking of enough individuals where the collective change is pretty powerful. So we can't pose Patagonia as a model of responsible company. We don't do everything as responsible company can do, nor does anyone else we know, which is an admission of humility, which is great. But we can tell you how we came to realize our environmental and social responsibilities, and then how we began to act on them. Pretty powerful. So Patagonia is a for-profit. I can find over 10,000 nonprofits, or people not working for profit but working for enough to live on, to begin to attack all the different kinds of world problems. And again, so I see nonprofit organizations as entrepreneurs, as social entrepreneurship towards solving a problem, making a living. So these people aren't becoming super wealthy, but they're having super impact. And we can find many of these all over the world. In fact, our map, I should have put that in the lecture, I'm so embarrassed. The map that we're building right now on Google is really an example of proving the point that there are thousands. And I hope that map will be filled up with thousands and thousands of videos that show all the different kinds of things that are happening out there that are pretty exciting. So WaveKey is another group that's looking at taking action to look at how we can preserve the oceans for future generations. Pretty exciting. And of course, here experience, right? So we talk about integral theory. The experience of surfing is so awesome that it can be used to leverage activity towards preventing pollution of the oceans. And now sorry for that. And then finally, and then when we think about impact all over the world at different scales, almost every city or every major city in the US and in many cities all over the world, there are sustainability committees. These are groups of people that have been paid to help the the government sector move towards sustainability. And remember that these groups then push companies to change their behavior. So there's a loop happening here of how these changes are occurring. And we're seeing more and more of these companies changing. And look at this, the sustainability movement nears a tipping point. 70% of respondents who say their companies have put sustainability in the management agenda say that they have done so in the past 6 years. So what we're seeing here is every year more and more companies are adding sustainability professionals into the mix of their company to begin to move towards sustainability. And I would say that once you start looking around and once you start paying attention, you'll see, yes, there is a huge amount of greenwashing, and that is the ultimate structural misalignment when a company says it's green, but it doesn't actually do anything. That's the ultimate misalignment, the ultimate betrayal of consumers. But in the long run, we're seeing the general trajectory is towards sustainability. And so for me, this is a really exciting time to be living. And if you were born in this era, what a great opportunity you have to contribute, whether it's through your for-profit company, your nonprofit company, the government, a university. You have that opportunity to begin to see the changes that you'd like to see in the world. And of course, it starts with your own individual values and beliefs and then how you share those. So with that, I'll end this segment and we'll move into the last segment for this week, which will be the conclusion.